Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah amma ba'd. In this blessed month of Ramadan, dear brothers and sisters, it's a time where we readjust our focuses, we readjust our priorities. And there's a few verses in Surah Al-Isra that are truly beautiful, and I hope they are beautified in your hearts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ الْعَاجِلَةَ عَجَّلْنَا لَهُ فِيهَا مَا نَشَاءُ لِمَنْ نُرِيدُ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَا لَهُ جَهَنَّمَ يَصْلَاهَا مَذْمُومًا مَدْحُورًا. Whoever wants the ajila is the quick, the hasty. This world is right in front of us. We can get it now. We don't have to wait a full lifetime to reap or harvest the fruits or the efforts of our actions. We can get it now, can't we? It's ajila. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about such people? عَجَّلْنَا لَهُمْ فِيهَا مَا نَشَاءُ لِمَنْ نُرِيدُ. For those people, we will hasten to them what Allah wills and to whom Allah wills. In other words, dear brothers and sisters, whoever seeks this life is not escaping Allah's sovereignty. What we get in this life is determined by Allah, subhanahu min ilah. And yes, you have the whole idea of you work hard, you'll make money, etc. We're not trying to deny that, but we don't have time to reconcile between the two. But from a theological perspective, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writes every single person's rizq while they are in the womb of their mother. That's what they're going to get. And so no matter how hard a person works, if Allah has written for them a small amount, that's what they're going to get. No matter how badly they want more. And so how many people on this earth in impoverished areas work 16 hours a day to have a small bit of food? That's the result. عَجَّلْنَا لَهُ فِيهَا مَا نَشَاءُ. Allah gives to whom He wills what He wills. Subhanahu min ilah. And then at the end result is what? ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَا لَهُ جَهَنَّمَ يَصْلَاهَا مَذْمُومًا مَدْحُورًا. The end result of such a lifestyle, someone that exclusively pursues this life at the expense of the afterlife, the end is hellfire. Madhmuman, they will be in a bad state. Madhura, distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's an opposite. There's another side. There's another choice. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. But whoever wants this life, the afterlife, al-akhirah. And what is akhirah? Akhirah connotes that there's nothing after it. It's the end. If you want the end that is permanent, that is the last stop. Right? If you want it and you pursued it, وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا, you pursued it in the way it's meant to be pursued. Meaning you pursued it in the way Allah and His Messenger told us to do it. Right? وَهُوَ مُؤْمِن, you are sincere, you are a believer in that, you are sincere in what you do. فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. Then those people, their sa'i, their efforts are mashkur. Notice, what is mashkur? Allah is ash-shakir. And ash-shakir means Allah, so to speak, thanks someone by rewarding them for what they do. Look how beautiful that is. When your pursuit is the afterlife, then that ties you with the name of Allah, ash-shakir. That Allah rewards you for that. But when your pursuit is this life, what does that connect you to? The verse doesn't say it connects you to anything. It gives you the end result, but it doesn't connect you with anything. Al-ajila gets you what? What does it connect you to? Nothing. Well, when a person pursues this life, in reality, they're pursuing their desires. What they pursue in this life is their desires, and what is the reality of desires other than nothing? Desires are just a feeling. They come and go. They're up and down. What you desire today, you might not desire tomorrow. And what you think you don't desire today, you will end up desiring tomorrow. So what is desire other than a type of nothingness? Someone who pursues this world is pursuing their desires, and someone who pursues their desires is really pursuing nothing. It's like they're falling from the sky, free falling, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَالَّذِي اسْتَهْوَتْهُ الشَّيَاطِينُ فِي الْأَرْضِ حَيْرَانٌ لَهُ أَصْحَابٌ يَدْعُونَهُ إِلَى الْهُدَى ائْتِنَا. Like the one who the shayateen caused them to fall, free fall. Using the word istahwat from hawa, following your desires, as though Allah is saying the consequence of following your hawa is istihwa. The consequence for following your desires is you are in a free fall. You have nothing to grab onto, and it's hira. It is confusion. That's the end result of following this life. Look around you, brothers and sisters. Don't take it from me. Look around you. I find it shocking and quite surprising that whenever I talk to a well-to-do community, a wealthier community, I always am asked, I'm requested to talk in a way that uplifts people. It's not random. I'm not saying they're bad people, but there's something about worldly pursuit that leaves a person in a feeling of emptiness, in a feeling of confusion. Why? Because when you pursue this life, you're not attached to anything really. This life is temporary. So what are you really attached to? Desires are constantly changing. What are you really attached to? Nothing. But when you pursue the afterlife, the end, where you will end up, you are attached to ash-shakir, ash-shakur. Subhanahu min ilah. Very beautiful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, كُلًّا نُمِدُّ هَؤُلَاءِ وَهَؤُلَاءِ مِنْ عَطَاءِ رَبِّكَ. Each one of these groups, those who pursue this life, those who pursue the afterlife, Allah is going to give each one from Him, subhanahu. نُمِدُّ هَؤُلَاءِ وَهَؤُلَاءِ مِنْ عَطَاءِ رَبِّكَ. Both of them remain under Allah's sovereignty. There's no escaping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so you will find someone who's pursuing this life who will get this life, because Allah decreed that. And you will find people pursuing this life who don't get this life, because that's what Allah decreed. And you will find people who pursue the afterlife, but they don't get this life. That's what Allah decreed. And there are people who will pursue the afterlife and they get this life as well. That is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مِنْ عَطَاءِ رَبِّكَ وَمَا كَانَ عَطَاءُ رَبِّكَ مَحْظُورًا. And no one can stop, restrict, prevent what Allah gives someone. Subhanallah. Pursuing this life always has to be done through Allah. If you want this life, ask Allah. You can have this life, no problem. Look at the companions. They died wealthy, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, and they were the best of the best. A believer does not see a contradiction between worldly well-being and after-worldly well-being. Rather, the difference is, what are you connected to? What is your heart really connected to? Are you connected to this life, and that's why you pursue it? Or while you pursue this life, your heart is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dependent on Allah. That's the difference, dear brothers and sisters. And remember this hadith. Memorize this hadith. Be acquainted with this hadith. Put it on your, in your office. Put it in your home. Let it be something you see every single day. Whoever's concern is this life, then they will only get from this life what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them. And they will never be content with this life. All these wealthy people, they always want more. They always want more. That's just the reality of this life. That is the qanun, the law of this life. It can never satisfy you. Because you, as a human being, weren't created to be satisfied through worldly things. You were created to be satisfied through your relationship with Allah, subhanahu min ilah. So whoever's concern is this life, they will never be content. And they will always feel that they need more. They will always feel a type of poverty. But whoever's concern is the afterlife, then Allah will bring this life to them. And Allah will put contentment in this heart. And Allah will thank them, will give them shukr for what they did. So what's it going to be, ibadallah? We're in the month of Ramadan. The month of rectifying ourselves, the month of adjusting ourselves, the month of purifying ourselves. We as human beings were created for the afterlife. And to symbolize that, to show us that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created Adam, where did He put him? In paradise. Although the plan was for him to come to earth, Allah started off by putting him in paradise to remind us that's where we're meant to be. That's permanent. And the Prophet ﷺ teaches us, be in this life like a traveler and someone who's just passing by. Would you, dear brothers and sisters, put all of your wealth and your resources and time trying to build for yourself a place in an airport that you're there just transit? You have a 7-hour layover. Are you going to go start looking for, okay, where should I buy a home? What should I rent? What furniture should I buy? Or are you just passing by? You have your small carry-on. You go find some food, you eat, you drink, and you don't want to eat too much because the last thing you want to do is use the bathroom on an airplane. That's the mindset of the believer. And so in this month of Ramadan, let our success be by changing our priorities and our mindset as a result. I want the afterlife because that is the end. That is the end point. There's nothing after that. And when I pursue the afterlife, I connect myself in this life with Ash-Shakur, Ash-Shakir, Subhana, the one who rewards. And in the afterlife, I come back to Allah while Allah is pleased with me. Isn't that better than pursuing this life, this finite life, which will end and will leave every single person with the same exact thing? As the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah gives us an example of this life with, He compares this life with food and food with this life. Even if a person spices the food and puts salt on it. In other words, no matter what kind of food you eat, if you eat the best quality food or the worst quality food, the most expensive food, the cheapest food, the best tasting food or the worst tasting food, the end result is always the same. It's in the toilet. It's in the toilet. Similarly, this life, no matter what you have in this life, if you have the biggest homes or you don't have a home, if you are a multi-billionaire or you're the poorest person on earth, if you're healthy, if you're sick, if you're strong, if you're poor, if you're famous, if you're unknown, every single person ends in the same place, in a grave. And they will stand in front of Allah. So what's it going to be? Ibadallah. You want this life? Here it is. It's there for the taking. But remember, Allah will give you what He wants to give you. But if you pursue the afterlife, then Allah will give you more than you do. مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الْآخِرَةِ نَزِدْ لَهُ فِي حَرْثِهِ. Whoever pursues the produce, the harvest of the afterlife, Allah will increase them, give them more than what they do. And Allah will give them in this world what Allah wants. So the choice is clear, dear brothers and sisters. Put that in your intention. Because the wording that's used here, مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيد, مَنْ أَرَاد, whoever wants. It always starts with intention. What do you want? You want this world or do you want paradise? And if you want paradise, then that does not exclude you from enjoying this world. But if you want this world and that's what your primary goal is, you could be excluded from what Allah has to offer in the afterlife. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.